I've never been here.
Testing, testing. Hey guys. Hey everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming out to the Austin e-commerce meetup. First, I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors, BigCommerce, Springbox, Tecovas, and Capital Factory for providing content, food, and the drinks. So let's give them a round of applause. Thanks, guys. It's nice to see some familiar faces, as well as some new ones. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Fabian Yanis. I'm the lead organizer here at the Austin e-commerce meetup. I'm also the founder of Ready to Go Survival, along with my co-founder here, Roman. We are a retail brand that specializes in personalized emergency preparedness. I'm also a former Googler, big-time IT nerd, and closet dancer, for those of you. I encourage all of you to come introduce yourselves. I love talking to you guys. Also, please take pictures, videos, anything you can. Our Twitter is at ATXecommerce. What else did I want to say? Sorry, I lost my track here. There's going to be a form being passed around. If you can take 1 minute and just fill it out. I'm not going to take more time, but without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jenny Hopkins, the Associate Director of Sales and Marketing over at Springbox, and she's going to introduce our first set of panelists. So give it up.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming. We have pizza, I think beer's on its way. We're excited to be here partnering with BigCommerce. And we're going to be talking to you today about content strategy and kind of the power of the platform that you're choosing for e-commerce, and also the power of the partnership and the strategy to help build that experience. And so we have with us Kate Thomas, who's our Associate Director of Content Strategy at Springbox, and Tracy Wallace, the Editor-in-Chief at BigCommerce. And I'm really going to let them run the show here.
Thanks, Jenny. This is quite a kind of a free-form session. So Tracy and I have worked on a presentation together, but it's just a few slides that are not showing up. Stand by. Loose connection. Okay, so just a few slides to guide the conversation and Q&A at the end. So we'll just lay out a few things and then chime away with questions at the end. And moving on.
So far, so good.
Okay. Alright. So just a quick overview, introduction who we are. And we thought we'd talk about this in terms of a customer journey. So we're talking about e-commerce, and very much, and this theme will come through from the talks that Tracy and I both speak to, about making sure everything is user-centered. It's sort of their journey, not your journey. So we thought we'd take this structure for our talk. So finding, buying, and nurturing our customers, and what you need to do to make it happen. So, we're talking about the importance of strategy in e-commerce experiences. So, as I just said, finding, buying, and nurturing. And with a platform like BigCommerce, you have a great sort of foundation, but not if you don't create great content to get there. And Tracy can speak to case studies where people, some of her clients, apply great strategy and those who don't, and the impact on the bottom line.
Yep. Hi, everybody. Tracy here. I'm the editor-in-chief over at BigCommerce, which essentially just means I talk to about 2 to 5 different e-commerce brands each week, most of them making more than $1 million annually, up to about $100 million in annual sales. And then really just ask them, what the heck are you doing to do well? And so that's where a lot of my insight will come from for the most part. So I'll be name dropping a few brands for you guys in here, so be sure that you have notepads out to take note of those brands if we don't have those on the slides. And then also just talking quite a bit about, yes, finding, buying, and nurturing, but why that's so incredibly important. By and large, when you are finding customers, you're spending money to find them. If you aren't nurturing them to become repeat customers, you are losing money ultimately. You need to make sure that you are getting your return on ad spend across the board. We're going to talk about how content can help you do that, both at the beginning to help lower your acquisition costs, to get people to convert, and then to actually get them back and convert again.
This is us. If you need to get in touch with us, I'm sure, just go via groups or talk to us afterwards. Okay, first you need to set content up for success. So an e-commerce platform, from my perspective, is like any kind of other content platform. You need to do a few basic things to make sure your content is findable. So for any content, it should be user-centered, well-written, well-structured, because of course content is consumed and delivered by machines to get it to people's iPhones or iPads or computers, whatever they're using to browse to find your brand websites. So to make sure that can happen, you need to set it up and structure it, tag it at the back end and the front end in a particular way. Another point is content types, and it's the case, isn't it, Tracy, that some content types perform better than others? Yes,
That is the case.
segue.
Yeah, sure. So since we're in the find part of this, I guess first question, how many people in here are reselling products versus, well, let's do reselling products. Raise of hands. Awesome. How many people are selling unique products? I'd imagine everybody else at that point. Perfect. So let's start with the reselling side of things. I'm going to say something and just assume that everybody knows this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you are not rewriting your product descriptions, shame on you. You should be rewriting all of your product descriptions, and not just rewriting them so that they're like more readable and aren't just talking about technology or the specs, but rewriting them in a way that actually meshes with what your brand personality is. When you're reselling products, the number one, like the big advantage that you ultimately have is a brand. You are getting products from somebody else rather than putting time into actually, build a new product. What you're doing with that time instead is actually building a brand. So you need to understand who those customers are, how they want to be spoken to, get really great photos, really write these things out in a way that appeal to them. Beyond that, the way people are going to actually find you is through, one, SEO. So we'll talk about that one first. This is also true for unique products, but by and large, you are writing your own product descriptions because you have to, and you know your product really, really well. You actually probably have a really good reason why you created it. So I would rely on that pretty heavily to help you build out that product description. But Google specifically is going to be looking for unique content as well as engaging content on your own site, especially for mobile SEO. And that's going to mean video by and large. So many people, and I guess I can name a few brands here. Well, I'll say this first and then name the brands. We're seeing a lot of brands actually using their product pages to turn them into landing pages, which means you need to have a few psychological triggers on there, whether that is scarcity or bundles. Bundles do really, really well, but really building those pages out, one, to talk about the benefits of your product, talking to your customer intelligently, and then showing people exactly how to use that product. Video does really, really well for this, and Google is ranking it really highly on mobile, where a lot of your shoppers are likely going to be coming from. You can use, Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, PayPal, One Touch in order to help actually make that conversion at the end of the day. A few people who are doing this really, really well, if you want to write them down, BombTech Golf has fabulous product pages that are converting ridiculously high. I believe it's at the 12 or 15% rate. From their Facebook ads in general, they're actually converting people over using bundles. So they're selling a $300 driver, bundling that with, I'm not good at golf, another golf club, bundling it with that, and getting people to essentially act on something that is $300 as though it's like an instantaneous purchase, right? Somebody sees it on Facebook, it's like, oh my gosh, that's such a value, I have to get it now. They're doing that with videos on Facebook and then reusing similar videos on their own product page to really continue to drive that home. I could talk about what they're doing, I guess, afterwards as well, because they do all of this really, really well. But Solo Stove is another really, really great example of this. Again, using both product video as well as, this is a great example actually for a custom product or unique product that's pretty technical. They actually draw everything out and really show you exactly what each thing is. Why all of this is so important is because you need to get people to stay on that page. It's a signal to Google that people are interacting with your content, which means you're going to move up in those rankings. Moving up in those rankings is incredibly important, so you can spend less on ads over time and more on, you know, nurturing those people to come back and just getting that traffic from organic.
And kind of the only way to do that is if you establish up front a content strategy that says, this is who we are, this is who we talk to, this is how we talk about ourselves in this particular way. So by the time you get to creating words for an ad and then getting an illustration or an image to accompany that ad, you're not sort of blind or in the dark. You know exactly what you need to say, how to say it, and you align resources accordingly.
Yeah, oh, sorry, could I add something there? So if you don't know how to figure out what your customers are looking for from you, there's tons of really, really great tools out there. I work for BigCommerce, so I clearly know the platform really, really well. If you were using that platform, you can look in your analytics section. There's an on-site search section that will show you what people are searching for on your site, if anything's showing up, if things are showing up, how well those things are converting. That's really helpful for understanding what your actual customers are looking for, both to understand their voice as well as to understand any particular upcoming trends. You can also use tools like Hotjar, right? That's going to track people across your site to help you understand what people are looking at, how long they're staying, where their eyes are going, and then clearly you can also do surveys as well. Anyways, just a few tools to help.
And I mean, if you wanted to do some A/B testing, you have to understand what it is you're testing against. So you need to do that work up front to set your strategic agenda and then measure against it. Okay, so people have found you. You've got this awesome content. They've found you amazing. And they've landed on a page, and you want to make it really easy for them to buy. Okay, so you're only halfway there now. So with a platform like BigCommerce, you've got them there and you've got these sort of spaces to fill, but what are you going to fill those buckets with? So first up, again, make it easy for people. Don't put hurdles in their way. So there are lots of different payment options these days. Make the right choice for you that makes sense for you, for your customers. I'm not sure if you know what your customers' payment preferences are. Is that something you can discover in BigCommerce?
To an extent.
Yeah.
We know what payment preferences are across the board.
Yeah.
And I can talk about that in just a moment.
Yeah, fine. From a content perspective, you know, you want to sort of reveal information at different times. So if people are searching for a pair of jeans or a pair of sneakers or something like that, the first thing you want is, you know, the image, the name, brief description. That comes up in Google search, and they link through to their product landing page. And I think there's that internal kind of check. Is this the right thing? What's going on? Are there other colours, sizes? Is it for me? And so gradually, the eye will be drawn to, this is the right product. I think I want to buy. What can I do? So this is where you start to show things like, save the page now. For browsing later or to share with someone. If I want to purchase now, is it clear how I do that? I'm not sure, I need reassurance. You know, what happens if I buy, I'm nervous, can I get a refund? So you don't have to put all of that information on the page itself, but remember, these are landing pages that no one's coming through your homepage necessarily. They're coming through search directly into the bottom of, you know, a massive database. So just have helpful pointers to helpful information that make it easy for people to buy from you. And the third point there, to test and learn with analytics. With BigCommerce, you can do that. You can sort of run different tests and understand what's working, what's not. But again, only if you've got things set up at the front to start with.
Yeah, so anybody in here know what the average e-commerce conversion rate is? Just off the top of your head. 2.3, that's good. It's better than I thought it was. 2 is what most sites say. And honestly, for most industry, it's actually lower than that, which is insane. So that means if you are doing really well, 2% of the traffic you send to your site is going to buy something from you. That's absurd. The goal is to get it much higher than that, ideally, which one is why it's so important to make sure that you're finding the right audience to drive to your page, but optimizing that page so that people can check out as quickly as possible is so important. Think about the way that you go to websites, right? You see something online, or I don't know, maybe you're like searching for a product to buy, and instead of going to Amazon, you go to Google, which is you're already halved, right? I mean, only half of the, at least US population that begins on Google rather than on Amazon for this. So you start there, you type something in, you land on a site, you like the product, but you have no idea who this brand is. Either you really, really like that product and they convince you to learn about it right there, or you're probably going to go somewhere else and be like, oh, can I find something similar from a brand that I know? Or like, what are other people saying about this? If you have a second to catch that person right there where they're at. And that's if you've done SEO really well and have landed up there at the top, right? If you happen to be the one that they click on. So multiple ways that you do this. One, talking about product pages as landing pages, making sure all of the information is there. Helps so much for SEO, especially if you get a bunch of videos on there. Again, you don't have to just use one. Go look at BombTech-Off's video or their product pages. They have like 5 videos on there. It's amazing. Some people use things that kind of look like infographics, right? To really kind of show and visualize for people exactly what the product is, how it's going to help. Customer reviews are crazy important, and these don't just have to be at the bottom of the page, right? Pull those things up. Try to get stuff like closer to the visibility for that customer that's scrolling through. Social proof is just nuts amazing. And if you've had any magazines or anybody else talk about you, move that up as well. And anything that you ever use on your home page, if it's like, oh, Elle Magazine has talked about me, get that on your product page as well. People are coming in and viewing your product and your entire brand on your product page just as often, if not more often, and likely over time going to be more often, via your product page rather than your home page. That's a really good thing. You're cutting out one step to get them down the funnel, right? But now you have to work a little bit harder. Each one of those product pages needs to work in a way that actually pushes people, not just that 2% of people, ideally 5%, right? That's what I like to hope, at least. So move your customer reviews up. Go ahead and include FAQs on pages. The way that you can figure out which FAQs to include, multiple ways. One, just common questions people ask you in general. You can also go ahead and have an FAQs page. Don't worry about duplicate content at this point. Is anybody in here worried about duplicate content and implications for SEO? Great, cool, so we won't talk about that. Awesome, so go ahead and have an actual FAQ page, but include the FAQs on the product page as well. A brand who does all of this really, really well is called Store Your Board. It is insanely impressive what they are doing over on their site. They are using their reviews to, one, rank incredibly well on Google, but also really to get people to convert super highly on their page. I think they have about a 6% conversion rate for like things you hang up on your wall to store your surfboards, which is really, really impressive. Also, payment options are very, very important. Now, you're beginning to get a little bit off of your actual product page at this point in time when someone adds to cart and then gets over to the potential buying portion. You want to make sure that they can do that as quickly as possible, especially for mobile. So I've already mentioned Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, and PayPal One Touch. Amazon Pay in particular is doing really, really well. People who implement that are within about, like a week, seeing 20 to 80% of their audience on mobile check out through Amazon Pay. So if you don't have that on your site now, or if your e-commerce platform doesn't integrate with it, figure out a way to make that happen. It's working really, really well, both on desktop and mobile. It's not even just a mobile solution. What else is doing well? I think that might be all I have.
But whatever's doing well for other brands may or may not work for your brand. The content has to be in your tone of voice. It has to suit you. It has to suit your product. It has to fit with your world of content, not your competitor's world. I mean, and having something like reviews on the product page, I mean, it's a risky thing for lots of businesses because you're opening a channel to user-generated content. That's just like, oh, you know, a lot of people are risk averse, won't want to do that. But transparency and openness will trump nearly everything else, and that sends a message to your customers that, well, you know, trust us. You know, even if people we're opening ourselves to potential criticism or not 5-star reviews all the time. Perhaps you can curate those, but just be open and plan and schedule these such things.
Reviews can play into the nurture part as well, which I have a feeling we're going to move into decently soon.
What was that?
The nurture part.
I've lost track of where it is. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So this is the detail of the product pages that be really focused and specific about what content is working, what you're trying to say, and plan to update this. Keep content fresh via an editorial calendar. You know, you don't want to be working till midnight every night, sort of tapping into things, you know, updating websites. Just schedule these things, resource them, and support them properly. The only other point there to talk about product pages, be realistic about what you can support. So we'll be showing a video sort of in a minute. We'll be looking at Tyler's website. So Springbox has worked with Tyler's using the BigCommerce platform to create a new e-commerce solution. Tyler's has thousands and thousands of products. Another brand who uses BigCommerce, Tecovas Boots, has a handful of products. So Tecovas has an opportunity to create high quality, detailed, rich, deep content about each product. But Tyler's can't possibly support that. They need to sort of take a realistic assessment. What can we say about each product? As Tracy said, it's important to rewrite product descriptions to bring your own tone of voice to it. For Tyler's to do that is already a massive undertaking, let alone all of the other nice things around it. So be realistic and plan and to support whatever you're doing. So they're really good they're two ends of the scale, sort of boutique specialist at one end and sort of high volume sort of products at the other. Both, you know, the end user doesn't mind. It's a slightly different experience, but they're going to expect to see the same sorts of things on a product page on these other pages. So just keep scale and what you can support for your brands in mind.
Yeah, how many people in here have more than 50 SKUs on their site? Cool, and everybody else has less? Yes? Okay. I mean, it's a yes or no question, I guess. Anyway, if you have more than 50 SKUs and you do not think that it is possible to do a video, for instance, for every single one of your products, or to get super graphical, or to make every single one of those product pages a landing page, know that you are not alone. That is not a crazy thought. That is a very smart thought. You truly do not have the time. What begins to really matter for sites, again, that have 50 or more SKUs or products that they're selling are your category pages. It's crazy important at that point in time that your category pages are optimized for search, that you are including the right information. This means text likely above, so say, this means text above. So when you get to a category page, right, it's, you know, the brand, the navigation in general, the like women's t-shirts, and then often a really short description right there before you actually drop into the products. That's really, really important for any search engine to look through and understand what exactly it is that this page is trying to get across. Often what we see is that category pages can begin to rank for shorter tail keywords, whereas product pages and product pages / landing pages rank for longer tail keywords. This is a difference in where people are in their overall buying journey, right? If I'm searching for tennis shoes, I ideally want to land on a category page so I can see my options of tennis shoes. If I'm searching for Nike black tennis shoes in size 8 women's, I have a pretty good idea of what I'm actually looking for. At that point, it's better to drop me on a landing page, product page. Google knows this. So think about your product page and category pages in those two different ways. Product pages optimized for long tail keywords, category pages optimized for shorter.
I mean, another way to think about it is not all content is equal. So you don't sort of spend hours and hours lavishly creating uniformly kind of perfect product pages when everyone, you know, investing half that time in a category page will get just as many people. So, you know, just that's something to take away. Not all content is equal, and you need to decide what is the most important for your brand. Well, go back. Nurture. Okay, so just to keep track of where we are in our journey, because of our awesome content, our customers have been able to find us. They've been able to buy from us. They were so reassured by all the supporting content that they trusted our brand. They knew that they could return it if it was the wrong size, you know, or the wrong colour. And so they're talking about it with their friends. So perhaps I won't do that straight away. Perhaps I'll buy from you again. So how do you create return customers with content? So again, the difference, if, as Tracy said, only 2% of people who have found have actually gone through to this stage, 98% of people haven't. So what can you do? Just converting 1 or 2% of those is a lot of people to get there. So how do you retain and nurture customers with content? So first, you make it easy for people to buy from you, but not just once. So do a follow-up email. When we were working with Tyler's, we were researching and we're looking at lots of different e-commerce sites, and a straw poll around the office, and people who bought women's clothes from various stores in Austin said the follow-up email that stores would send say, hey, did you get your product? What was it like? What was this like? Was that a good experience? Encourage them to return buy, to sort of go back to the site and revisit. But the second point there, you have to back that up with a business process. You can't just magically send out sort of emails randomly. It will just sort of annoy people and go into their spam folders. So make sure you've got business processes set up to support whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. I mean, and that comes back to your content strategy. Always has to tie back to your business strategy. Content is just your business manifest on the web. So you're trying to get people to buy from you with different words and images. So make sure you back that up with different business processes.
I was on a call with somebody about 15, 30 minutes ago who said, if you are not building, or if you are not nurturing your email list and regularly going through it, weeding it of the people who are not responding, if you do not have an open rate of 20% or more, having essentially a very engaged email list, then you just don't care about money, really what he said. And I laughed and he told me not to tweet it, but now I'm saying it here. Anyway, it's true. It's easier to get people who have already bought from you to buy from you again, right? All of that work to get somebody to trust you, to get them to find you. I mean, you put a lot of work in there. You want that person to come back and buy from you again and again, because one, now you have their email and you can talk to them directly. They've given you something of theirs. But beyond that, you want to make sure that these people are super engaged. You need to, use an email platform provider. So, MailChimp is a really good one. Infusionsoft Klaviyo does really great work. There are a bunch that do a lot of stuff with receipt emails now. Receipt emails, by the way, the #1 most opened email from retail companies that exist. A really great place to do upsells and encourage people to buy from you again. But yeah. Beyond that, does anybody in here know Noah Kagan? He started a really great company here in Austin called Sumo. Yeah, awesome, cool. Okay, Noah has, over the course of building his company, sent more than 100 million emails, which is nuts. So he knows a thing or two about what gets people to open those emails. And I interviewed him not too long ago, and essentially what he said was, you were in a relationship when you were sending an email to these people, the same way that you are when you are hanging out with your friends, sure, but it's better to think of it as a marriage relationship. You need to treat those people, like they are heard and respected constantly. You need to ask for their feedback, literally in the email, ask for their feedback. That makes sure that once they actually respond to you and you respond back and you can talk to them more, even from automated emails, yes. That increases your scores for Gmail and other email inboxes, I suppose, so that you don't end up in the spam or trash folders automatically, which Google is continuously doing more and more to a lot of companies. So the larger your email list gets, the more important it is that those people aren't just engaged in clicking on it and clicking through, but that they're actually emailing you back, asking questions, interacting with you beyond an automated email. Some really, really great ways that you can keep these people engaged is one, clearly send in a receipt email and figure out ways to try to upsell them a little bit, right? So you bought this really great product, that's amazing. Did you know that, XYZ% of people, maybe don't say that if you have a particularly unique product, but a number of people who've bought that have also bought this, and like here's some social proof about how much those people have really liked it, or here's an image of how much of people using these things together, or here's a cool event that we're doing, or make sure that you follow us here. Hey, if you hashtag yourself in this new outfit, it's going to show up on our site. Pink Lily does that extremely well. Man crates, though. Anybody here heard of man crates? They sell gifts for men. Yes, awesome. You should totally buy one. They're really hard to open. They like duct tape them up, and you have to use a crowbar to get them open, and it's real fun to watch people open them. All that's usually in it is like beef jerky, but still, really, really fun and a fun gift. But they do something really, really cool after you buy the product. Through email, they'll message you, be like, hey, thanks so much for buying this. So excited that XYZ person's going to buy it. Do you have any other men in your life that you would like to buy this for? Father's Day is this date. Would you like to give us your email to send you a reminder on this day? When's your dad's birthday? What about your grandpa? Do you have a brother? Do you just have a good friend? And they just set up these automated emails for you that, one, you opt into. And all they're going to do is a week, 2 weeks before that birthday or that date, send you an email that's like, hey, you asked for us to let you know right before this happened. Make sure you get this now. They're not even offering discounts. They're just like, hey, a friendly reminder so you don't look like a jerk for forgetting. And it works like ridiculously well. So there are tons of ways that you can just kind of game the system a little bit, which ultimately isn't actually gaming the system, right? Man Crates is providing a lot of value to people. If you aren't keeping those things on your calendar, having them remind you to get a gift and have a link exactly to something that you might want and a gift that you know specifically the last person you bought really, really liked, it's going to be, that's value for you as the customer. At the end of the day, you're just treating people, again, like they're friends, like you were married to them. It's going to be a lot easier to get those people to come back than it is to try to get someone new to buy from you.
But of course, the second point there, back it up with the business process, because in that description, Tracy's like hinted at, you need an editorial calendar to manage when you're going to send these things out. You need to make sure you're briefing your copywriters in plenty of time. Father's Day is a fixed time of year, but people's birthdays are throughout the calendar year. So how do you support that in a kind of realistic way that matches up to your tone of voice, uses your language? You can't just have someone shoot off, the local, the intern that you've got to shoot off some emails. Writing, you have so few words. Words count now more than ever before. So really invest in that content and make sure every word counts. So, you don't have much space, so make it count.
Yeah, I think the point there, I think, is that invest early on in what you put in automation. 10 minutes. Okay. Invest early on in what you put in automation. It's going to pay off massively in the end. I've heard this from SMBs, really people just starting up, all the way up to people making 100 mil in annual revenue. You cannot send random offshoot emails. It's just not going to work. It's not scalable for your business. What you can do is spend the time at the very beginning to come up with email strategies, A/B test emails as you need to, figure out what works, and then get those things in streams, email nurture streams. If you aren't already doing this, look it up. There's tons of ideas out there on how to do this crazy well. MailChimp, all of those folks make it very, very easy. Well, easy. You still have to write the copy, but they'll help you set it all up. But yeah, spend time in automation copy before, just early on. Spend time there.
Making it happen. We've already talked a little bit about this, but just to pick on what we're just saying, you need to plan for sustainable success. Oh, go back. So to do that, you want to create user-centered content. As I said before, your reality is less important than your users. Keep your customers and their needs at the top of mind. Create a sustainable system. Invest in it. Serve the right content at the right time and scale for growth. So this is all just planning.
Yeah, and know that it's okay to start small.
Yeah.
Completely fine to start small. Test it, figure out what works, and then scale over time. There's no shame, there's no embarrassment, there's no anything in saying, I just don't have the time to do this one thing right now. I'm going to focus my time on this, make it work, invest, and then move on to the next thing.
So to prepare for success, I mean, content in an e-commerce context, I mean, it can make money for you because it decreases your ad spend because people are finding you via organic SEO search, increase conversion, and create repeat customers, as we've been talking. And I'm just moving through because Jenny's. But this doesn't happen magically. We invested in that, those down bunny ears. I was hoping for a bigger reaction. I'm going to do that again, really. See, it doesn't happen magically. Bummer. Thank you. So to do that, establish intent with strategy, align resources to make it happen, and boom.
Boom. Use tools. They're helpful.
Yes, use tools. Tools are available. They're cheap and ubiquitous. Any questions? Oh, what? I clearly have a limit to the amount I can present before it starts to go wrong.
Does anybody have any questions if they want to run here?
What was the name of the golf company again?
Yeah.
Is it Bontech?
Bomb tech. Be like a bomb tech.
Any comments on the best converting paid traffic?
Facebook, if you get your stuff right. Your targeting right. It's the best growth channel by and far for every e-commerce brand that I see that's doing it well.
Any thoughts on Instagram paying influencers to give you a shout out?
Paying influencers to give you a shout out. I've heard it done better where people are essentially giving influencers product for free and building themselves a community and network that way rather than actually paying them. Influencer marketing is really hard now, right? I mean, 2-3 years ago it was just like getting people to talk about you, and now it has a name and a strategy. I would definitely test it if you have the cash flow to do so. If you don't, I would focus on making sure that your Facebook advertising is working really well and targeted well. Continue to build your Instagram following. Instagram advertising and shopping is going to launch this fall. You want to make sure that you have. It's going to be using the same back-end platform as Facebook's own advertising. If you have your targeting there done really, really well, you'll be able to extend it to Instagram and get your sales up for the holidays.
A lot of talk about customer reviews and the value of that content. Any specific tools or tactics for collecting those reviews?
Yeah, so Yotpo is the one that I hear most often. I will say that the other side of that, the negative of Yotpo that I hear the most often is that it's not indexable by search engines, and that can be quite painful. A lot of people then just build their own BigCommerce, and as well as Shopify. I mean, I guess those are really the only two SaaS platforms I know well. Both have built-in ones. I don't know if Shopify's is indexable by search engines. BigCommerce's is. Yotpo sets up a lot of really great stuff though, so that as you send like receipt emails out, it asks then for reviews and all of that jazz. So it works really, really well. But it's just not indexable by search engines, so you might have to figure out a little bit of a way around that. Hopefully they update that soon though. It's a massive complaint.
But Power Reviews is indexable, and if you work with retailers, Power Reviews syndicates to retail as well. So anything you collect, the only two I know of are Bazaar Voice and Power Reviews, so you have to pay a lot more. But if you're in Target, Walmart, any of those, it's better to go with Power Reviews and Bazaar Voice because you get instant syndication.
Everyone hear that? Power Reviews and Bazaar Voice, indexable and instant syndication.
Two questions, if I may. I might have missed when you asked this. One, you mentioned payments. I know a lot of friends in e-commerce when they kind of drop off PayPal, because a lot of people have ridiculous experience with them. I had one friend recently, he was doing like, I think, $2 million a year, no refunds, like at all. And they just dropped him as a customer, essentially. They froze his whole account, and he wanted to drop him off completely, and his conversions would suffer. That was my one question, kind of problems with that. And my other one, just you're probably gonna get into this afterwards, but how BigCommerce compares to Shopify, just the features and all that.
Yes, my favorite topic. So PayPal. I have heard a few negative comments about PayPal. I haven't heard of a scenario specifically like that. It sounds absolutely terrifying. I don't know what to do, other than I do know Amazon Pay. From the people who have both Amazon Pay and PayPal on their site, here's the thing we can't quite figure out yet. Now, granted, we only launched Amazon Pay in March. But while 20 to 80% of people are checking out on those sites that implement it through Amazon Pay, it doesn't seem like it's actually completely increasing conversions on desktop. On mobile, it definitely is. But on desktop, it doesn't seem like it is. It does seem, though, instead that people are using Amazon Pay over PayPal, which probably isn't like best thing for PayPal to hear, but it does seem like there's a little bit of a preference there. And I'd imagine ultimately it's just because people trust Amazon, right? It's easy to like click it and your information's already there, and you know they do really cool, great things, and you don't feel like you get fraud or anything. So Amazon Pay. Oh, the other question, BigCommerce Shopify. All right, I'll put my sales face on for everybody already. No, ultimately, so Shopify is a really, really great platform. They have simplified things to make it ridiculously easy for you to get started, and that is amazing. When it's not amazing is as you begin to grow and scale. BigCommerce out of the box is going to offer you, it's going to save you about $300 to $5,000 annually in the amount of apps that you're having to download from that Shopify marketplace. In order to actually make your store function like a true e-commerce store. At the very, very end startup level, you might not need all of that, but that includes 70 plus, discounts and coupons, gift cards and gift certificates, customer groups, 12 different analytics reports, also SEO. Man, this is what I was talking to the person who said what they did about e-commerce, about email and not caring about money. But the way that BigCommerce and Shopify do manage their product catalogs and categories are vastly different, and it's very, very important, especially as you're beginning to grow. Ultimately, you want to be investing in a platform that does SEO so well that you aren't ever going to have to move to another platform, right? That will cost you money and time, site redesigns, all of that jazz. So the way that it's different on Shopify, when you set up categories, you are setting up collections. Those collections are siloed. I can't tell you exactly what that means, but this is what has been told to me. Those collections are siloed, which is not the way that Google fundamentally reads sites. On BigCommerce, it's set up the way that Google fundamentally reads sites, where you have parent categories and child categories, and that is how you create collections. On Shopify, collections are called collections. Unless you're on Shopify Plus, you cannot change the name of those collections. In the URL, truly in the URL, you can tell a Shopify store off the bat by going to just their collections page, which is what they're all called, and it'll say collections. And you're like, oh, cool, Shopify. It's how they set it up across the board. That makes it really, really easy as you're getting started to upload things. It does hurt you over time, especially if you have a massive catalog. If you're only selling a few products, probably doesn't mean that much to you. And then because of the way that's set up, BigCommerce customers perform better with Google PLAs, just because Google prefers sites that are organized the way they want them to be.
Anyone else have any other questions? Oh, coming over.
Thanks. Do you have any tips for somebody just starting out on the easiest way, the number one easiest way to go from zero to $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month or something like that in e-commerce, with BigCommerce?
Yep. I would start with Facebook ads and bundling products. You need to not even just convince people of your value, you need to very much show your value. Bundled products work really, really well. Say what you're really wanting to sell is this really nice razor, and then you bundle that product through Facebook ads to also include a mirror and a tiny little brush, and sure, it's going to cost you more in shipping, but you're probably paying $1 or $2 for those additional things. Your margins are still really high. BombTech Golf is another really great company to look at who's done this. They're going to hit about 12, 15 mil this year. Last year they did 6, and the year before they did 3, I believe, and the year before that they didn't exist. Eric Carlson is also a really, really great name in the Facebook ad game. He's doing a lot of courses online right now on exactly how to do it, how to use these bundles to increase sales, and not just increase sales in like a year, but really to increase them in 3 6-month increments.
Thanks for that. Anyone else have any? Oh, sorry.
Hi. Thank you for everything. We haven't talked much about abandoned carts, and it seems like in terms of increasing, just optimizing for conversion, it seems to me the fastest way. I just keep running into this with clients, and they haven't even touched it. It's a feature they're not even using. What do you have to say about it?
That's sad. Use abandoned cart. Your abandoned cart messages. These are people who have come to your website and gotten to a point where they have given you an email. You know what products they were looking at. And if you aren't doing anything with them, that's insane. You should be sending them an email probably within that first hour and saying, hey, did something happen? Why did you leave? Actually, no. What you should say in that first email is you should drive home your value, right? You should drive home who you are as a brand, what you're doing, and why. Those are often super personal emails, right? Saying, for instance, with BombTech Golf, hi, I'm Sully. Thanks so much for coming to the page. I saw you really liked this product. I noticed that you jumped. Not sure if it's something I did or said, but here's the reason why I started this business. Here's the story of how I got here. His story is really compelling, by the way. Got fired on the same day, found out his wife was pregnant, and started this whole thing. Anyway, so he goes through that. And if that doesn't get, and then again, include a link back to that product that they liked. Don't discount them. Try to not discount them as much as possible. In that second email, figure out a way to get a bundle or something in there. Send it to them, the next day. Honestly, the next day. I wouldn't wait too much longer and be like, hey, noticed you still hadn't come back. I'm not sure if you really want this product or what's going on. You figure out your text. But people who buy that product often buy this. Would you like it within a bundle? This is probably the bundle you're using on Facebook ads anyway. They're going to think it's a value. It's not a surprise value to you. You know you're already doing it. See if that gets them back. Send them a third email. Now, I typically only recommend 3 emails. Eric Carlson will recommend 7 to you. He actually recommends you email them until they come back or don't, and if they don't, you take them off your list. He's very aggressive about email. And then in that third one, I would often try to recommend some type of discount. But again, if you don't want to do that, just try to drive home the value. But yeah, definitely email them. All the platforms also have abandoned cart reports. So BigCommerce has abandoned carts out of the box, as well as a report that comes along with that. Number one negative complaint I hear about BigCommerce's abandoned cart emails is that they are ugly, and they are. But the second thing that comes after people tell me that is that they work better than most of the other ones that they've tried. So even the really, really pretty and designed ones. I think that's because HTML emails seem to be working better right now than any designed emails, because people like to be spoken to as though it's a friend or somebody emailing them. But I don't have the real data to back that up, so you might have to A/B test that. But Klaviyo, Receiptful, which is Conversio now, I believe, MailChimp, all of those, Infusionsoft, all have abandoned cart emails.
Yeah, we should actually spend the money to actually have our people call them directly.
Cool, and that's
like you said, you can see everything that they want. So a lot of times we notice on our stats, it's basically they just got a call that came in, something happened, so they really wanted it, they just left. So they're like, oh, thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, you can't know why they've abandoned their cart, so it might just take this extra trigger. One thing to say, MailChimp is a great sort of mail delivery service. They have an awesome content style guide. So if you're feeling at sea, you're not quite sure what to say or how to say it, and it's available even if you're not a MailChimp customer. Just search for MailChimp style guide, and it gives you loads of free things about how to structure your content, how to write your words, so you can get a good return.
Hey guys, I'm going to interrupt the questions for a bit just to get our next presenter on. Hold your questions for a bit and we'll address them after this. So round of applause for these guys. Thank you.
And then really quickly, for anybody who hasn't, we're actually giving away a bag full of Tyler's branded swag. I know we're running short on time. Maybe really quickly, we are Springbox. We talked a lot about big commerce. Just want to offer out support out there. Big commerce has a great partner directory of people who can help you if you're trying to scale your business. So if you are kind of starting at one of these lower places and you're trying to figure out, how do I use Facebook as a channel? How do I get products rewritten? How do I know who I'm talking to, when I'm talking to them, and how I'm talking to them? Certainly there's a partner directory with a lot of support there. We love BigCommerce as a platform. We're here in Austin. And if you're interested in hearing more, please come talk to Kate, talk to myself. Half our company is over here. But did just want to quickly share, we've talked a bit about Tyler's as well. And we have a quick video that we're running through, and then drop a business card.
For almost 40 years now. He's done a really good job growing
all the volume
sales in the state of Texas. E-commerce is a relatively new thing for us, even though we've had an e-commerce presence for about 7 or 8 years now. It's really only in the last couple of years that we've tried to put a large percentage of our products online and really make that a push for us. Working in Austin for many years in the creative field, I was very aware of Springbox and I had wanted to work with them for some time. And it just so happens we had the opportunity to launch our website, and the first person I reached out to was Springbox.
Tyler's is fortunate enough to have a wide variety of products that they carry in the store that are also available online. The downside to that, if you've been into any of their stores, is they carry such a large variety and quantity of products that it could be cumbersome or a poor user experience if they weren't categorized correctly online. So when we met with Tyler's and started to understand all of their products, it was important for our team of content strategists to come in and help with grouping those products into logical collections so that a user, when they're able to come to the site, can find exactly what they were looking for, but then maybe a couple of things that they didn't know that they were looking for.
It makes it much easier to manage content websites and content assets. So people in organisations running these websites can focus on servicing customers more than servicing the content and systems.
The web team, they spend countless hours uploading product in a very archaic method. It's slow, it's clunky, it's stressful, it's annoying, where this big commerce platform is going to make it really, really easy and hopefully even kind of fun.
There's a lot more tools built in straight to the platform that focus on getting those customers, retaining those customers, and re-messaging those customers. We want to be an e-commerce destination. We want to reach outside of that current customer base that we have and reach new people and become, the next Zappos or something along those lines. World domination is the end result.
And the beer arrived too, so we're going to set up the presentation if everyone wants to grab a beer, and then Brandon from Jacobus is going to be right up here.
Thanks again to Kate and Tracy and Jenny. Round of applause for them. Thank you. Oh, did you want to take
It's like clean text. Like there's like no issue. Maybe like
'Next and last presentation in a couple of seconds. So grab your views. I'd like to introduce Brandon Wendell from Tecovas Boots here in Austin, Texas. Give a round of applause.
Hey y'all. So I'm Brandon from Tecovas, State Tecovas, a direct-to-consumer Western brand based here in Austin. We're just about 2 years old, and we exclusively sell online, and right now we want to sell boots.
Hold on, Brandon. Sorry to cut you off. I think there is something else playing in the background.
Jenny? We've even gotten to the point where we can craft digital interactive experiences.
Is there music?
I think it's like a different conversation like going on there.
What we learned from that is that whether or not the Russians
Another video if you guys want to hit our YouTube channel.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
So, yep, I'm Brandon from Tecovas. I lead our growth efforts, which effectively means I lead our customer acquisition and retention strategies. I wanted to talk about a few things. So, first, I want to talk about, first of all, why it's so important to focus on increasing your customer lifetime value, especially early on in your company's life cycle. And then I'll discuss just a few tactical ways that we do so at Tecovas. So just a out of curiosity, how many of y'all are with an e-commerce companies who are actually selling a physical product? And out of those folks, how many of your companies are 2 years or younger? A handful? 3 years? 4 years? 5 years? Okay, cool. Cool. So why should you focus on your LTV immediately? So a couple reasons. One, a repeat customer, as you probably know, is worth more than a new customer. And I'll show a couple examples of why that's the case, but on a dollar margin basis, it's immediately apparent. So it's one reason. Another reason, your earliest customers are the most likely to be your brand advocates and actually have an emotional connection to your company and your product. And the urgency for starting to engage them immediately, I'll explain that as well, but effectively there's a window where you have an opportunity to engage them in the most impactful way, and it's certainly early on. So just going to run through a really simple example, and I don't want to start doing math problems with y'all, but so this is just from at a high level. If you think about a new customer order, and these are pretty close to our stats. So our average order value is $300. Our COGS for any particular order on average is $150, and it costs us $100 to acquire a new customer. So our operating profit on that transaction is $50. For a repeat customer, all of that's the same, except it doesn't cost anything to acquire them, right? So, effectively, your operating profit on a transaction basis is 3 times what it is for a new customer. So, the bottom line there is that your existing customers are your most profitable marketing channel. And we honestly, at Tecovas, we view, we have 5 core channels, and our customers are one of them. And I assume you'll probably feel the same way. So just to kind of illustrate that point, this is a really simple case study. So if last year we had 10,000 new customers, and from the previous example, if our operating profit was $50, we have $500,000 operating profit. So assume that from year one, and then you take these 2 scenarios. So in one scenario, you have 20% top line growth. So you have 12,000 customers, but no repeat purchasers. So in that case, you have an operating profit of $600,000. In the second case, you have no growth, but you increased your repeat purchase rate by 10%, and your operating profit in that case is the same. So obviously, no one operates in a vacuum, and you should be focusing on each of these strategies, concurrently. But I think this is just, I was trying to illustrate how important just an incremental 10% repeat purchase rate, is effectively the same as 20% top line growth. All right, so the next reason why you should focus on your early customers is they're your most valuable assets. These are the people who are going to be your word of mouth brand advocates. They're going to be loyal, and as I just mentioned, they're going to drive a disproportionate amount of your company's profit. So if you think about Yeti, for instance, they did a really great job with their early customers, who were the pros, the outdoor, the hunters, fishers, folks that actually need, which is like 0.001% of the population that actually needs a $600 cooler. But they did a great job early on focusing on creating content around those folks and giving them the tools to essentially create a network of content creators. And those 0.001% of the population actually needs that, has translated into a huge network of content creators who make me feel like I have 3 Yeti coolers, which I don't need but I have, right? So in the case of eBay, they had power sellers who were early on. These are the folks that were creating tutorials. This is before eBay was huge, and those folks, eBay focused a lot of their energy in making sure that they could set up PayPal for them. So those are the people that displayed to everyone else that eBay was a network and that brought everyone else to the network. For Tecovas, our early adopters are the boot enthusiasts. These are people that have 25 or more pairs of boots. Again, don't need them, right? But that's 1% of our customer base, but that drives 10% of our revenue, which is kind of crazy. These are folks that have a lifetime value of $5,000. Literally own everything we offer, which is not much at this point. So it's also important to realize that properly engaging these folks is early on is of the utmost importance. So if you think about in the case of Yeti, if you think about this kind of adoption curve as also a time curve, right? So Yeti is probably at the late majority stage, 8-10 years in, whatever they are. Those are the folks like me who would never need a cooler, but I want a cooler because I see, these are the aspirational customers that want to be like their early adopters, right? So, but if you think about if Yeti had never created that network and community around those people that actually, their best early adopters, then I don't think I would ever run Yeti, right? That's just an illustration of why it's important to focus on that early on. So, just a couple really simple tactics that we've done at Tecovas. In a lot of ways, we're almost 2 years in. We in a lot of ways feel like we missed an opportunity to engage some of these people in the right way. But we're certainly focused on it now. But I'll just run through a couple of these examples. So we're really focused on giving our customers special treatment versus anyone else on our email list, for instance. But we're also really explicit about it. So we go out of our way to tell our top customers that they're our top customers, right? And those folks, it's funny how in a way it kind of becomes self-fulfilling. In a way, if they feel like they're a top customer, we just released an alligator booth this week, and our top, whether or not they felt like they had to, it was self-fulfilling that I'm a top customer, I need to keep buying from these guys. We kind of feel like that is the case. So we go out of our way. Just a few things that we do. So we send like a gift package, a top customer gift package, and again, we're really explicit about why they're getting this. We send them a Tecovas hat, and just stuff like that. This is the sort of thing that 3 years from now we couldn't go back and say, "Oh, you're a top customer," right? People don't generally feel as emotionally connected to a brand the older it gets, right? If they feel like they're an early adopter, they'll be more likely to be a lifelong loyal customer. So that's certainly our hypothesis, and we've kind of built strategies around that. So a few things we do: we give all of our customers early access. Again, we're explicit about it. We give our customers 2 days to purchase anything that we release before we release to the general public. We send a top customer survey, right, and we'll let them know that we value their feedback more than anyone else. And these sort of things don't scale, but I think the point I want to make here is that it's important to do these things while you can, because, like I said, there's that window of opportunity where you can actually properly engage them. So, again, another really simple tactic we do, which actually does scale, is we do a handwritten note campaign. So every week, so we have 5 customer service agents at this point. So and each of them is responsible for writing 5 customer notes a day. And we've found that as we've just made it part of their workflow, that it is scalable, and customer experience is a position that scales with revenue, right? So this is the sort of thing that it seems like it doesn't really make sense to have our team writing 5 notes a day, and I think the reality is it does. So a few things that we've done here is we send. We've kind of centralized the message and the list, so we distribute it to the team every Monday and say, here's the list of the people we want to write notes to this week, and here's the message we want to send them. So for instance, and this is kind of how we measure it, is in June, we sent every June customer from last year, which was our first year in business, basically a 1-year anniversary sort of note, kind of re-engagement. Thanks for giving us a try, let us know if you ever need anything, that sort of thing. And it's too early to tell, but our thought is that sort of thing, as long as there's a central message and a centralized kind of strategy, we can actually measure that lift. If we do it by cohort, so that's one thing we do. Another thing that we've trying to do well is automate some of these campaigns. So over email we use Klaviyo. I'm not sure if any of y'all use Klaviyo, but we try to position, we do these automated cross-selling campaigns. So if we've segmented our customers by X products, so if you own X, we try to position product Y for whatever reason. But all these things are automated at this point. We're sending several thousand emails to folks who own X product on a weekly basis. And we also send Klaviyo. I'm not sure if any of you want to use Klaviyo, but they do a great job. I mean, this is at this point fully loaded and automated. We send an anniversary email of their first purchase, a reminder after 3 months, some boot care tips, check in. That sort of thing. So those are just kind of some simple tactics that I think maybe for some of y'all it doesn't make sense, being more than 3 to 5 years in, but I think for us, at this stage that we've noticed from other brands the value of really focusing on those early adopters, and we've tried to make that a channel and a focus for us. So. Appreciate it. Y'all have any questions?
Thank you, Brandon. Thanks for that. Does anyone have any questions from this presentation, the last one they want to kind of rekindle up, bring about? I know I saw some hands.
How you doing, everybody? Thank you for coming and speaking with us. It was really good information. One thing I was really curious about is A/B testing. And how to determine when to actually allocate resources towards A/B testing as opposed to generating more traffic. Because in some cases, I can see it being cheaper to generate more traffic than using a tool and having to go through many iterations of a site just to raise it, 0.5%. So how do you determine when you would actually do one or the other?
Questions for both of you, whoever wants to answer.
I mean, I would, like we say, it's resource intensive to do that. So it has to, I wouldn't do it for your kind of bog standard page. I would do it for some major campaign or major sort of event that is going to generate a lot of revenue, or you're dependent on it doing that. So I suppose it's a matter of balancing your investment with the payoff that you might get. Is that helpful? I know, it's again, it's tying whatever you're doing, making sure you're tying it back to some wider strategic objective you're trying to understand, and then testing that. And test and learn, one of the points that we had, I think, in Nurture or Grow, was test and learn. So what is it you want to invest in to understand what you need to change? And of course, do it as part of a wider strategic calendar and keep track of that.
Thank you for that. Okay. Oh, right here.
I have a question about for Boots. I mean, Boots used to be that you want to try them on, so you want to test out. So how have you eased that process so that you make people feel comfortable, and so also you don't get a lot of returns?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, that was certainly early on our biggest kind of critical question to the business. Will people buy booths online? So I can tell you our blended return and exchange rate is 20%. So we feel pretty good about that. So I can tell you a few things we do. One, we have a really robust fit guide, and we're also very, very explicit about how easy and simple the process is for return exchange. So we include, this is just kind of the cost of doing business online these days, but we do free shipping, exchanges, and returns, and we include a PLF return label in every box. But I think footwear is kind of tricky. People think they're one size. The reality is sizing is all relative. They're like, oh well, I'm always an 11. Like, well, whatever. I think that the reality is, and we have a pop-up on our as soon as you click to purchase, saying we want to ease people's concern about that and say we let people know that 90% of people get it right the first time, because that's actually the case. And if you're ever in doubt, choose the size that you wear most often in your closet. But yeah, I think the reality is, some people, it's certainly a hurdle for some people, and again, we're opening 3 stores in Texas this year because of that reason. Because there's certainly, we have a built-in audience of people on our email list that are been following us, engaged with us, but won't buy online. So I think this is a different conversation, but omni-channel or having kind of a brick and mortar physical presence is important for some of those folks, because some people just won't get over that hurdle. Thank you.
I would say mine fit perfectly. I use the Fit Guide, and I did not have to exchange them, and they are the most comfortable boots you will ever wear in your lifetime. And I'm from Boston, and I never owned a pair of cowboy boots, so if you don't own a pair, go get some.
Appreciate that.
And I totally love that one of our slides was making it easy and making it transparent. Refunds, shipping, everything you just said, everything we just talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does anyone else have any questions on?
I'm talking about it. So, talking about radio, used to be digital marketing, back then. Obviously, early adopters, getting usability content support. What are some of the best strategies or tools that you found out there to use to actually generate authentic UGC and drive that on the site and actually come back to the site?
It's a good question. So, if I understand your question correctly, how are we actually generating, aggregating, collecting, and then displaying user-generated content?
What are some of the best tools and strategies you found around that as well?
Yeah. So we have previously done email campaigns explicitly asking for user-generated content. We built contests around it. That is, I will say something that is we have there's a trade-off with user-generated content and versus we have a pretty high content bar, and I think this is our CEO's just really a particular guy. So I think there's a trade-off between getting user-generated content and then having the kind of content that you feel like is a good reflection of the brand. So that's a long-winded way of saying that we're not super focused on that, at least yet, and it doesn't really fit into our at least immediate go-to-market strategy. But we have done some contests, have actually asked for it as part of contests, and then we also we see a lot of forums. You'd be surprised. Again, going back to this kind of early adopter thing, there's a lot of boot enthusiast forums, and we see those, and we kind of let the community kind of take care of that themselves, and they do. So.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Anyone else? Any pain points or question over there?
Who are you guys using for your Facebook ads right now?
Yeah, so we have we used a really good agency in Austin called ROI Swift. ROI Swift. Yeah, they're great. I would highly recommend them. They are full service, but we don't use them anymore. So we've since Facebook, by the way, has been our most scalable channel, and ROI Swift is great at every channel and kind of being a generalist. We've since we're spending well over $250,000 a month on Facebook at this point. So we have a Facebook dedicated that has 25-member team that's doing literally just Facebook. We're called Mute 6. Mute 6, yeah. But they do MeUndies. They're Facebook specialists exclusively.
Thank you.
But I highly recommend ROI Swift.
Thanks for that. There's a question over here. Let me give this.
Thanks. I'm curious, how what content assets are performing best for you, and then also, what have you all seen in terms of video and using that as a direct response tool like Facebook?
Video is by far our biggest white space for opportunity. We just kind of invested in video assets, and it's by far been our best top of the funnel creative. And your other question is what have we seen perform the best? Yeah, so a couple things. So something, in fact, this guy's question, our best performing creative actually on an image level is somewhere between user generated and like professional photo shoot. So we tend to we've done a lot of seeding and gifting for like influencers and that sort of thing, at least on the women's side. And then we'll repurpose those assets and actually make them ads. So what we've noticed is anything that looks and feels as close to like something that would actually appear in your feed is the highest engagement rate for us, at least. So yeah, and we repurpose press pretty much anything that exists that's about to Tecovas that was created by someone else. We'll try to find a way to repurpose that and put it on Facebook and Instagram and kind of sneak it into someone's feed and have them think it was naturally created.
All I would add to that is, creating a video is a big investment, so you want to, make sure you do repurpose it. So when you shoot it, make sure you break it down so you've got lots of different sort of lengths that you can use in different channels, and keep control of the story so it can be sort of 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 seconds, because you really want to make sure you can repurpose and maximize kind of what you spend.
I 100% agree with that, for sure. And I would also say where we've seen the most important for the performance level for creative, it's just refreshing. We try to, every 2 weeks, never run something for more than 2 weeks at a time. So.
Any questions?
So when you're using the influence marketing, how do you handle getting the rights to those images to then use the first time?
Yeah, so it's typically we reach out on just a case-by-case basis and say, hey, if we paid you $500 for this photo, would you allow us to use it? So it's case by case, and we kind of learned that the hard way. If I'm being honest, we repurposed some stuff without asking for permission. Early on, we didn't really realize that it was okay. So now we always ask. We just ask how much.
I mean, and that can be quite a simple, straightforward thing to do as well. But I would recommend that there's just sort of a publishing checklist type thing that you've got. Do you have permission? If not, ask and just hold off until you do, because other brands out there have deeper pockets than you and will kind of go after you. So. And the other thing to think about there is if you're reselling something, you want to make sure you've got the latest of whatever that product is. So build a relationship with their marketing departments, make sure you get sent their videos or their imagery so you can update it as well. Yeah. Are there any pain points? Is there anything that we can solve for you? Because content strategy answers all questions. You do know that, don't you?
Round of applause for everyone speaking. Thank you. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for the segment on content. So if you guys want to hang around, mingle, feel free to. Reach out, introduce yourselves, or leave if you want. But thanks all for coming. We appreciate it. See you next time. Thank you. Oh, wait, hold on. One last comment.
Tracy Wallace, who is one of the other panelist speakers today, if you'd like to get in touch with her, there's a couple of ways you can do that. One, she's super active on Twitter. So if you have a question, you can reach out to her on Twitter at Trace Wall, TraceWall. Also, I sit right next to her at Big Commerce, so she didn't have any business cards to hand out tonight, but I have a few in my hand. You can contact me directly, and I can forward those emails and questions along to her if you have any. Thank you.
Oh, and the raffle. If you haven't yet, you got about 10 seconds to do it. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and give out the prize for the raffle. Okay.
Jessica Hunter. Aubrey Judson. Chivery.
Aubrey, right there. Yeah, congratulations. If you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to introduce yourself. And again, see you next time. Thank you for coming.
That's the biggest thing for mine. I'm big, well, that's one thing we're trying to do with bundle leases, and also that's some debt work that I like have done. Hell moves. I know for my clients, like when I was like trying to do it's like they have an option. Well, that's literally there's like two things that I've been like that's been on my list to build it aside for like a month. They already got laces. Yeah, they got laces and socks. And there's oil and scrub brush, like a yeah, and like I should totally just set up a built-in campaign. So it's like it's out. So like, hey, like, is it make oil for this? Like that would be great. Literally like 2 days yeah, that's literally the last thing I've just sent them. It was like a 1 month after they get it. Just send them like a request for a review of like how much it did, how the price was. And I sent it all to the pricing. So like it links back to the site for the embedded site. We'll see. I don't think there's any incentive. Did y'all get reviews? Like, what was y'all's strategy? Because you could also maybe do it as a whole, its own thing, which would make it a MailChimp the same page can be accessed from 2 different URLs. So that is the same product. Same exact product. Same exact product. In 2 different collections. It's actually the same collections. Because it's not so you can have like
500 bins But is it really sales? If it works.
Yeah, okay, that's like that also Hey
Which is probably why they took a long time.
That's the enterprise market. It's not super integrated when it's and that's what they're really trying to do. It's like, everybody just working calculates, federal, state, counties, that's dedicated trying to
Yeah.
So I mean, like, Kevin, whenever I do that, I thought it's just the platform itself, so like pushing HTML5. Like, just keep everything in HTML5. And make sure to build do build across major platforms.
So what's this much is like what and it's that's what I'm like. So that makes sense. One neat thing so rather than just it's actually it is something that it's like, oh my god, I can do it once, but
well, I've done like
it just sucks.
And I guess, it's really more like even as much as like unless you really need native functionality, systems or something, then my intuition is like, hey, all of the functionality it's a different it's a big but really, so they that kind of pivot to pitch down stores and you can spin push notifications, but basically now it's just a deeper level of insight on doing that. It's like that's kind of like why.
There's a man out there who's like crazy. That's awesome. That's awesome. But he's lots of brands. Sometimes we get content all the time. Like a one brand That's interesting. I wonder what percentage of the people are starting off.
And also, like how much detail is them I think the distinction here is like they can only say I think there may be some ways that you can do that. Simple click views, like if you just
also like where you're on an Alexa or
I think they're always on now. Any phone that you can say, hey, Google, it has a separate process. Literally, like, they have like a forwarding and then a secondary, smaller process, which is sole function is to parse microphone input, keyboard input, push that. Listen for okay, but what it's also doing is, oh, Stevie, right? Oh, wait, is that? Oh, something that someone wants to pay me to put an ad. Yeah.
It makes money.
She's like hunched over like with the not even 5 feet away, like in a corner, like plugged in. And I was like, Megan, this is weird, but I saw you on Facebook. And I haven't seen her in like 6 years. But I mean, that one's kind of easier. Like, 2 locations, this person's next to you. But I remember at that time, it was in my mind. Because, like, but now, like, this is crazy. It's like miles ago. Alexa, basically, like, product name or brand name. We should try to say a Peter brand.
See if we can get it on. Yeah, like literally, like start something, just say it there and see if it I think the news probably. I honestly say it's probably your phone. I think it's your phone. I think it's your phone. I think it's your phone. I think you're the social media sites, man. Your phone is just siphoning up all our shit. Watch us all the time, man. iPhone. Steve would never do that to me, man.
There's a certain brand of smart TVs that actually.
Yeah, the Vizio. We have a Vizio, and it's definitely hacked by the USA. Oh yeah. Part of the part of the big WikiLeaks thing, like some of the big that's part of the big dump that they did for the NSA hacking tools, were a bunch of tools for like worms into Vizio smart TVs that turn into like active listening devices, where they can just listen into them.
There's software that's on the smart TVs running underneath it. Like what's on the screen at any moment, you say like, boom, they're watching this. Or in the shower, this app. Wow, we want to know like what people are watching, House of Cards on Netflix.
Market to this person, they like House of Cards. I don't like that type of stuff, man. I like it's so opaque, man. So opaque.
I just read it while we were sitting there. Lucky White, you know that is. Football players not that good. I think he's plays for the Cowboys. And he got arrested like yesterday. Like, oh, we found out there's a coworker and he got arrested. Because they're like worried about like him and he has to pay. Turns out they arrested the wrong guy. They arrested him because he didn't have identification. Today, the arrested the guy was so he got, I don't know, now the guy was, we don't want to be the team that like lets a guy who got arrested back on the team because they made the big media scene to try to get guys. Just now they're worried about some mob. It's like, they got that guy who got arrested.
I mean, who browse whatever people should have and they didn't even know.
So this just made me think of like, what about when like your attic is attached to me and I get weird ass or wife thinks that oh you're getting weird ass like let's say like that was a ball day every time this guy's ass is good.
Somebody can like let somebody else borrow your phone and they give stuff, you know, like all that stuff, I'm just picking it up, like raw stuff, you know, like software.
She likes to cheat.
I always get, I get misnamed all the time. Yeah, so you and one other friend like the page or whatever, and they put that shit in front of me like literally every couple days. I bought one, and that's probably also like but this was years ago, like maybe a year or two ago, and I didn't really like it. And I still have it.
It's a specific thing.
It fits in the problem for me wasn't the fit. They say just that it's so heavy and thick, like it's too to wear. It also
that's the thing.
That's what they told me when I bought it. I don't know, man. I feel like the one that I got, man. I feel like it's hot. No, it's heavy. It's like three. It feels like it's like 3 layers. You know, it's like
I've got one of those that like somehow it's thick, but like it's kind of I wish I
That's
pattern, different colors, and I wear them all the time.
interesting. So the one that I have, it sounds like just like going to like extend. You can see the wiggle through it, and it also holds sweat like crazy. Like if I sweat a little bit, like in the sun or something, then it'll sting you. It stays. It's just not at all. And I was like, yeah, no, it's like $150 or something like that.
I only got it because I got like half off.
I mean, well, that's the other thing. Like, I don't mind spending something if it was going to be a shirt that I could throw in a bag and then pull out later, and it was not going to be like I wanted to burn out.
Our most reserved brand. It's one of our best
The fit was great. See, that was the important thing about it. That I loved the fit. No. It was way too hot to take, and if you wore it once, you could not I was hoping it would be really make sure go back around or something. Yeah, it's just like, that's the kind of stuff I like to do, that I travel like so back and forth for just having two pants or something, and so much I love it. I think some
my Amazon history adapter, like things that
I'm still trying to see more specific. I can't make it parts of that.
that was even nicer than like it was
I wish I could just
or holding it in your hand.
Yeah, that's what I'm always doing.
Yeah, or even the armband. You're like, I want to skip this off, but I don't want to stop. I love that thing, and I tried to, like years later, I was like, I'm gonna buy all that. I bought it, and I bought and I was like, I gotta do that back. About these bucks. And when it was still sealed.
Yeah. 10 years of being in heat. It's like it's not going to be like it was.
I was the one guy to buy one.
I feel like maybe Microsoft, like, maybe some of
I don't do that.
so like there's a lot of estimates. Yeah, like small group of kids in China. So we always have spent on something. So he does everything. So he has a lot of eyeballs. Like this is like modern. But he has a lot of eyeballs. You know, some brands might have certain like Nike rides, some big e-commerce companies that are like regular catalogs, so when you cover the Nike, that's not your shit. Something else.
Honestly, I've never.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I would feel. I don't know.
That's kind of weird. It's like wearing a news.
I know. That's. I feel like I couldn't.
I would love it. I get it. I don't know if it's comfortable.
Whoa.
If you're a person who flies every week or
Magenta was a long resolution. And Texas friends. Is that
so Magenta like that's hosted version. Like Magenta is a company like
it's like a I don't sign this.
Magenta's also
oh, is it? I didn't know
No, she's actually Canadian.
It's
also
a double-edged
I joined like
oh, I thought you meant like app.
Actually did it really hard.
I like your brain.
All these
sorry, dude. I just get the center of the drink.
The what? Design. Yeah, that's important. The other thing is that
he does like that.
So it's like,
You also work for
just this is what I do for base top now. Just like for
Somebody like my buddy, or I've been like video
That was my one concern. My wife used to I couldn't move her. I had to move her. I give her the best opportunity. She likes to
no, so I just got it's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's
like an information.
She did something for a really cool company. Having to like generate
no, I like that. Yes.
They just create, like, build it out as models and bring out all kinds of
I really want to go to Edmonton because I used to work next to like book there's a few buddies there in Edmonton and Calgary. Is it the best because I booked so many cruises?
I think they are, yeah. I don't know if they do. They're like Anger does, they do the software. I haven't been to augmented reality like you, we all have iPads, right? We're all construction. Let's just say we're like on the field. All right, we got to build the house. We all pull up our iPads and then we all have the augmented reality. Yeah, it's better than virtual reality. Yeah. So like you'd be able to pull it up into the car and go here. You saw that I saw that. Yeah, like I was just typing in the wrong place. You literally do the same thing. You don't have to update all of our maps. He's creating, it's like totally. It's so fun. I wish I had that one. Boom. Another one. Star Trek. Yeah, let me know how fun you hear. I don't know how I pick up. I never stuff. I've been
We're looking to have some
And I need a job because I just moved back here. I don't do like donkey or like the no, I don't do. I'm not doing.
Like, wait, what?
Sorry, I'm doing director. So I don't do camera work, but I do produce. Where'd you go to UT? Sounds like
Cool. We actually you're an so esports is so we use a platform called Skills. They do all I have an office in China. Just yeah, educational. So we have a digital agency that manages all of our we kind of started back. We started. Yeah, we actually so as I was saying, we started like Amazon, like all the platforms and our website was kind of active. And we're very so our website's we use but yeah, I need since you guys both I love it's gonna be super fun. It's so fun just because I'm playing each other. Yeah.
Right now, So, how do you feel about copyright certain
There probably is kind of just resist that movement. So it's like hard to get your name linked to credit card.
Do you have a lot of business That's the number. So we're not just to give you an idea, we're not like just a thought. Just as far as putting this copyright business. It's kind of crazy. I'm always like weirded out by like my like totally makes sense. So like I like to like speaking on it seems like it's kind of like
It's cool to see where advertising is involved. I've never had it's completely changed.
we don't have that. We should talk. You also I think so.
That's kind of true. Yeah, nice to meet you. Hi, Eden. Nice to meet you.
I came in. I'll send you my contact.
We should do this.
What
do I do here?
Yeah, it's like I swear, like no one dresses like that in LA. No, he was like, I swear, I just did
Like a
like
startup
an
company.
open.
Probably snap it. So right now, maybe out of this restaurant, because like the passion that I have all my life, but I got sick of doing the whole like nonprofit. I mean, reach team, but I don't care.
Thank you, man. I know a lot of this. No, there's actually I told her. No, me too. I got her contact info. She's here. She's right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I was telling her. Okay. You sent me one of those emails.
Everyone I've spoken to is like Facebook is an outline. Growing and changing on Facebook, the carousel of products that I might like and purchase.
I mean, yeah, it's just about yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all the data. We're just
I was really planning on Facebook and then I was just like, then you go on Facebook and like in your feed there's like the carousel they'll have like 6 ads and like if there's something in the ad that I'm like like direct I want to say that I for sure have at least 50 times and I've done it on Instagram too.
We should like hashtag maybe it just I know the best person to ask is our time. But you should have throw a line out there and go like, how am I doing that well?
So you just like reaching out to
I actually think you're doing terrible at it? Let me show you this. Oh, the Cobalt guy. Oh, yeah. What do you think? So, Rivet, brand I represent, does automated customer generated content, photos, videos, stories, narratives, what's the application? Why did you buy the business? Is it because it's work, or is it for dress, or is it for events? How does it fit? Too small, too large? How frequent is the red boots? Much have this all reviews, but check that out. I will. Putting all the visual content and then so I'm not sharing about
like data aggregation.
It's more on the review side combined with and social media. That is real motivation.
No, yeah, you need it all.
It's actually a little review. Review our product.
You don't get because I wasn't trying to. How do you know what?
20 years old.
Yeah.
What's the next generation of that?
They got next gen Yapto. Beyond
No, beyond that. It's like Yapto on like
Look,
Android.
I sold Yapto like I'm sorry. Yeah? What was their price like? Did you talk to them?
14 grand.
Validated, merchant, I just told you. 14 grand. Year prepaid?
I think it's yearly, but I don't know.
Annual prepaid.
I don't know the exact number, what you have. It was they give you a whole presentation, free share. So, I mean, the big difference is who's on what.
I mean, I like the functionality of that.
No, you have review through email. And it's a lot more than that, too. It's a lot more than that. You had to follow, yeah. 14 grand.
Wait, when you see the demo from the university, what do you think? Like, they crush us?
They have more features. I wouldn't say crush. I don't know. Overall, what you're dealing with, you could have done those things.
Because maybe we just don't communicate a lot.
we have a really high marketing budget.
Please send me the list. Please email me the list. So what do you think? Because I'm going to pull it out when I hand my product team. Here's the merchant site. Oh, please. Yeah, just forward it to me, Gabe. Thank you.
Basically, videos is a big
That's what discovery right here, right? What do we like? That's why you come to these things, right? Also, product guys go, look, here, 5 customers want to sign on, which means X amount of revenue, we fix this one. Fix it now. Conveniently, or
really founder over there. Yeah. And he's also okay, basically. So you have some interest beyond just
I roll that small business. They have enterprise product.
My email's on there as well. Send it. I return those. Use my personal. Actually, I'll send it to Rob. Yeah.
For email after purchase rate, we go anywhere from 2 to 15%, but that's very different comparisons to apples and oranges because they have it in email where you can write 5 stars, arrived on time, saved, versus ours is including photos, videos, additional story. 15 grand, feel free. Have a good time.
We don't know the price of them.
Sending an email after they purchase, I'll tell them.
No, for reviews.
You don't get the customer.
They also said that was the biggest in your review page versus literally like oh, it's in the email. If I do send, and then they get I love that. I got a budget for a product, and I was like, oh, review in the email. Yeah, and I forwarded to you. I was like, here,
so, I'll do it for $14,999.
Yeah, I'll look up they give you an A/B test of 20,000.
What about an A/B split test of on the website of what actually Kickstarter? Going back to previous customers and trying to get them to see the content for you.
My boss.
Got it.
I resisted thinking I was going to forget the
I met two images index like a little more. Ours are. Alright, well, it's not. Apparently,
I didn't read it.
We need to raise our prices.
Well, for the yacht bill, people are calling and saying, I want to go to yacht bill. Yeah, you know what?
I want to ask you, how does saving 30% sound?
Hey, one of my most valuable tools is my email tool. My email tool is also not intentional.
That was interesting.
So like, $200 for how many?
Yeah, I'll
the marketing guy. That's right.
If it's $200 for the upsell, I thought we were saying about 10,000. So I might just want.
I think Cloud is more sophisticated than MailChimp.
It's way more sensitive.
Yeah.
We moved from MailChimp to Pocket because of all the little things that we do.
Product specific, product specific.
And engagement, and when they hit it, and then how we hit the value next time.
I mean, I like it already. And I can
More automation.
In terms of automation,
there's more filtering tools and there's more integration. You know,
So based on your, did you interact or the time frame that you purchased? If you jump into different funnels.
So, like if a certain action is taken, then you put it into this funnel A. If action is not taken, you put it into funnel B.
So we're not really doing the engagement. So you can't say, Facebook buy a product, make sure you put it in the funnel. That's the way you put on the first thing.
That's actually really
if you're trying to do something more sophisticated, like moving somebody through a funnel. So let's say you have several page funnel, and each stage of the funnel, you're gathering different pieces of information from them, and your goal is to push them continuously. And you have more than one demographic or more than one page that's associated with the sale for you. So like we have a multi-stage funnel where the first page just gathers email, the second page gathers email, name, plus a whole bunch of other information. Right.
So but what about product specific? So I go to add camera 1 to my cart. Right. So the first thing you say is please enter your email, blah, blah, near the end of the cart. So you have a specific funnel that says, because you have this part in your product, that I'm going to try to drive your content. But product specific, because it's stories around that, you choose time frames depending on. He's
I'll give you the biggest benefit for us. Let's say you have several different list points. Oh yeah, you don't want one list to get a certain message. You want to filter them out. The filtering capabilities of audio are way beyond what MailChimp is. We couldn't filter people. Like we have our master newsletter section, and then we also have people that just purchase a specific product that we can market their product. We have people who purchase this product who did not purchase this product. Right. Triple factors.
Really messy, really quick.
It gets real messy. We try to organize as much as possible. It's kind of crazy.
There's probably an order confirmation, order canceled, order refund, draft order. Did you guys sell it all?
We're going to start please go a little layer deeper on. They added product, they added the camera and the mount. That might be a better role for you. Versus the guy that only has the camera, I'm going to send him an email. That's kind of a weird strategy.
We have a product, plus a service-based business. So we have certain rules that if somebody signs up to a Calendly appointment with one of our salespeople, we can take out the funnel. It's like, you're already scheduled an appointment, why am I going to keep trying to pitch you? I'm not pitching with that. I want to talk on the phone.
And if you miss it, then I'm going to jump back in the funnel.
That's more like the service-based service plus product. Brick and mortar plus
They're not going to do it. You bought that, and they still not dropping the phone says, here's the right mount for you, and here's the USB adapter. Okay.
I could try to. I could see your. I would be. You could be really just by utilizing all the dash cam footage out there. I do like contests. Please,
I'm gonna try to sell that.
First of all the Russians out there, they record crazy, like he was riding around a tank, bears, like crazy shit. Like just that, if you can get that with your hashtag on it, it's gonna be shared so many times over and over. Like you don't even need blogs or anything else. All you need is video. That's the only thing that we have. Channel is what you like. Where did you get them produced?
Trevor? It's hard to do we're allowed to do emails.
You're not a reseller, right? It's your own brand.
So they know who we are when we try to like the way there's a bump is let them know we have a website to make sure that we do have the benefit. They make it. It's not like even a Walmart. It's a Walmart.
They're not selling it to other people.
They could, but they're not selling it to anybody who wants to use it.
She's actually one of the top sellers that have
Amazon would be that's 500 emails.
oh yeah, no brainer.
It's actually the another recommendation if you ask about it. You know, we're looking for
just 3 weeks ago, the last of you another and it's called we're seeing
what he would want to hear.
so like if you were thinking about we're getting we have lots of we spend a lot of money there, marketing, but I still think that there's your product.
There's like for your website, there's
I would supplement you guys use Google Analytics. And because our brands that are urban America, we launched it in Shopify, and there was 47 pages in this product.
You know what you should do? My recommendation?
We have the store. Supplements.
Go back in and watch those people. We just make it happen. We had a problem with the process.
If you study
their mouth flowing, I can go user by user and see if they exit, I can see their exact movements of where their mouths move, which forms they practice. So we use that just for our response. We see something's off and we're really saying like what's going on. A few times we did find crazy things going on. So errors. Those are not supposed to be there.
take them to the build their own as well, but they're not.
Mouse is slow. Mouse is slow. It's just a snippet you add for each channel.
I think it was yours.
Believe it or not, I was in here because everyone's going to do it.
Water?
No, Ron Dow is using I will tell you, we have a marketing agency, your budget, let's see if they do it. Let's say they made like supplements that we have to let's say something else. Pick 3, bring in $3,000 in inventory, whatever. I would budget that with our colleagues and leaving
So what do they do? They give a container plus whatever ads they do.
Yeah, you might pay a lot for that's the size of 1-2 foot. You might maybe pay $14. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not sure. Other products, not that it's much. Even some products that are really niche. And then I have other ones. You want to sell a carcinogen for something. Yeah, $2 to buy a bottle of it, and you sell it for $25 because it pays $7. just the way it is. But I'm still very bullish. But I think I'm really smart. You did it right. Yeah, you went direct. You did it right. We're like going to the video of the month, and then you turn them into a raffle. Get part of it, be part of it. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, dude, I know. Amazon, people love Amazon. I'll send them my video for you. I've listened to the application. They're like that's why you're truck drivers. Truck drivers are like proud of that. So we go on. Truck drivers that my personal feeling is truck drivers wouldn't give a shit over it. They wouldn't want to buy a product. I only leave reviews personally for shit that really sucks. If something really sucks, then I'll leave a review. If it's awesome, I'm going to keep it to myself. That's not, I just don't have time. I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. Personally, I just don't have time for it. I'm blown away. So literally, hold on. Okay. I had this happen literally 6 weeks ago. Big commerce store. The guy sells corner guards. It's like the thing you would put on the wall for the ones here to prevent it from getting kitchen. All businesses applications, including doctors' offices, getting put in, right? And I'm like, I literally set them up, and the whole team kept saying, thank God. Why did you even sign him up? You know he's not going to be successful, blah, blah, blah. We don't know that. We've never tried. We don't have a use case for this. Let's try it. If it doesn't work out, let's take care of it. I think this is going to try it. Use case. Dude, it's killing me. Everyone on the whole team has a preconceived notion that it wouldn't work. The person ordering those things probably has shit else to do. No, seriously, the person who orders that for the office doesn't have anything to do. They're looking around, so they're like, well, you wrote a review about this corner thing. Well, we have here experience doing it. Everyone in the company thought it was a terrible use case, and I said, we have a master on job. I don't have a dash in the company. That's why I threw you a stupid deal. Said, work with it. Try it. It doesn't work. Month to month, we'll walk away. If it does great, you're going to be my biggest advocate. You're going to be how great it is, right? It's real. I don't think I have a copy of this yet. Okay, we're going to deal with try it. No risk for you, no risk for me. So I did $15,000. You were paying for it. No, you're not paying for it. The guy was not an expert. From their Boys, when you asked about review my product, please review my product. No, your product. Right. So you didn't care about their experience actually using it or uploading cool videos or that kind of stuff. You want to know about your product. You're talking about yourself. You're talking about yourself, not about that's literally like this is like this one's starting a building strategy, and then also at the same time on the side. I think I did it on January. I mean, honestly, if done correctly, you'll see. That's what our agency is telling us too. I don't believe it. You got like first 4 or 5, 6 weeks off. So that sounds terrible in your short-term mind. Here's the thing about it. Is that content, if you own it, it pays dividends over time. It's like investing in real estate, right? So keep doing it. We're not going to do it. Cool. Keep doing it because that content you own forever lives on your site, it pays dividends. It's just like investing in a retirement account. Over time, it continues to grow.
That's not bad. I'm down to truck driver taking the time to do it. That's what I'm doing. I mean, that has nothing to do with software and software. How much trouble do you do hard on right?
You're right. No. So how much time and energy did you put into figuring that out? So I'm asking, I'm asking, you're right. I'm asking the actual time to sit down and put a strategy together, let me write out the campaign, let me figure out who I'm going to send it to, all that. How much time do you spend, you and your team doing that? Is this an hour? What do you got your time at? We should reference. No, 100%. I think I got more than I got yours. So for the whole team, all of us, you want to do it right now.
opportunity cost for $300. Opportunity cost, $200. This is incorporated. That is one of the most important things that we're getting products that you're in the market. What's the opportunity cost? Hey guys, I'm sorry. That's the whole thing. No. But we would be worth $100. All right. One more. I don't want to do that.
That was here when we got here.
Shake it. I'm not shaking anything. Any happy duct tape? No, it's a what? It's a gym bag. A gym bag? What's that?
How do you get your ticket?
Where's the gym? Hey, what's up? What's up, man? I think someone left this here. Oh no.
Your name is Alonzo?
I did the work for you and looked into it. I was gonna say, that was my next question. It's just like a bag. Yeah, closer.